Call the finance meeting to order. All members are present except for Steve. I didn't hear from him, so he's not going to be recalled. Maybe it'll show up. I would entertain a motion to approve, adopt the agenda, and also approve the minutes from our last meeting. By John, second by Virginia, to adopt the agenda and approve the minutes from the December 19th meeting. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, hearing none, motion is carried. Moving on to item 5, monthly administrative reports. All you want to do, talk about the November financials, and then we'll do the medical dental and during overtime report.
So start with sales tax. Most recent payment received at the end of December was $155,372. Year to date, $1,461,344, compared to $1.331 million last year. And we have 2 more payments to go of revenue that will be recognized in that year. We're on pace for about 1.7. Knowing also that the last payment, which incorporates Christmas shopping, is usually the biggest. We'll hit that. Since we have a light agenda, so PMA, Brian Dell from PMA always sends out the sales tax information for all the counties. It tracks both the years back. The interesting one this time was this chart, which I didn't send out, so I'll pass around. It shows the year-over-year increase. So he measured it from December payment or January payment to December. And Kewaunee County is at the top of the list as far as increase in sales tax collections from last year to this year, and a little over 10%. Surrounding counties, so Calumet is down a little ways. They're in the 7 to 8%, and then Sheboygan, Brown, and Door are all at the statewide average of right around 4%. So why Kewaunee? I don't know. We see that in the numbers. Their measurements a little bit different, but we are growing a little bit. At the other end of the spectrum, we have one that lost a lot. They're like 7% down. Menominee County, again, I don't know why. So our sales tax continues to do well. You can take a look at that if you want. No changes to contingency. Obviously, those should be done. We're into January. We will have one budget request from later, but that's not a contingency. That's just moving around grant funds. A few items worth knowing. If you look in the summary, there's no red flags, but some of those the benchmark numbers in the summary for November jump out. The clerk of court. They're at 93% of their expenditures as compared to a benchmark of 88 or 89. So they have the increase in expenditures, but they have more than enough increase in revenue to cover that. So that's not going to be an issue. Any issues we took care of, was it last month or the month before, with some budget adjustments. A reminder, the rest of these we've generally talked about. I will point out that the highway right now is at 102%, but that has December to go yet, and has inventory adjustment, and the receivables haven't been incorporated yet. They do the work and have the expense, and then they generate the revenue with their billing later. Human services. In the budget projection, Brian projected a positive year for them. His estimate for the WIMCR payment, which is always a question mark, was about 200,000. Our actual payments will turn out to be a little over 400,000. Those come very late in the year, so we've got. Then there might be one check outstanding, but the big parts of those payments are in. It's higher than expected. Again, we budget 0 for WIMCR because it's based on previous year's data, and we want to budget for current activity. When he estimates, he tries to estimate conservatively, and we hope this payment's bigger. And again, this year being 425 is good. The average is between 300,000 to 400,000, but we did get a year with 0, so we can never count on that money, which is why we budget 0. Again, this being November, some of the budget adjustments aren't in here yet. I entered those in December. Those will show up in the next statement. Oh, so I am happy to report too that payroll position was refilled effective Tuesday. Um, 3 days into it, moving along. So far, so good, but 3 days into it. So now there's some overlap, this person comes in with some experience, is getting used to our systems, our processes, our procedures and rules. That will take some time, but the light is at the end of the tunnel. And just a reminder too that last fall we had the request for the conduit bond. If I remember this, the conversation right, they would be coming back, and they estimated in about February. So I haven't heard anything from them yet, but it could start showing up on the next agendas. Okay, that's it for the reports, unless somebody has a question. Any questions? Medical dental, with the agenda, I sent out the October reports. It showed up Monday after the last finance committee meeting. And then yesterday morning, the November report showed up. So those are on the table. So in short, both of those are in the low 90% with one more month to go. So it looks like we'll have, a decent year. Not great, but not a bad year in health and dental. The large claimants list too. It's a list of 15 people, the ones over. It's typical for this time of year. It's only the top 4 are over right now. So any questions on that?
In this transition to this year's medical and dental go on smoothly.
It's always work to go through the collection and changeover, and then HR has their portion, payroll has their portion. Being short-staffed, it wasn't fun for us. There's a lot of paper to shuffle for Peggy. That's never fun, but we got through it. Certainly better than last year, where it was a new plan and all new enrollments. So
I know there were some questions last year, and I think Ed said that most of those issues are taken care of. So
yeah, they were down to a handful of them, which there's the last 1 or 2. I didn't hear the end of it, but it hasn't come back. So I guess I'll take that at least as it's not getting worse.
What is our deductible for families?
off the top of my head, I don't know if family is single. I think a family, I think it's $1,000.
I think max out of pocket is 2,500.
Yeah, and the max out. We have a document for that. Maybe be on the website.
Is that individual or family, Ross?
I think that's family.
There's nothing else on that. We'll move on to the overtime report.
Any questions on medical, dental, or? Okay.
Okay, so the overtime report that was sent out with the agenda is December. It's labeled preliminary because the first pay period in January almost always, I should say always, has some December work dates in there. So we have to accrue part of that back. So today is the pay date. So it's calculated, posted. I don't have it. I don't have it calculated yet, but all of this pay period is going to go back to last year. So this is the pay period in December. I don't have that posted and included here because number one, this was printed beforehand, and number two, our system doesn't automatically post it back. I have a somewhat manual process to go through for that. But this being December and Christmas and holidays, overtime is generally up. I did take a quick peek at the grand total for the entire county, and it's roughly the same as it was last year. But this report doesn't include that yet. I can rerun this when I get that entry made. Other than that, if you have questions, and by the way, particularly the sheriff's department where they have staffing issues and holidays and 24/7 coverage, that overtime at this time of the year is always higher than the typical overtime at other times of the year. So if there's specific questions for departments, again, I'd suggest we ask the department to come in. Matt's here if you have questions for him. But nothing jumps out. Just want to make sure that this isn't the final numbers. This is what's available.
So I'll add real quick if you'd like, since we actually kind of keep tabs with the main records system. So as Paul said, the kind of status quo, if we look from 21, 22, 23, we're up about 300 hours from 22. However, when we apply all the grant holidays, the city assistance, all the revenue side of it, we're actually tracking lower. In 2021, we're at 1,767. 2022, we're at 1,678, and this we're at 1,444. So we're actually continuing to chip away on that, but it's a challenge, as Paul said, because of the staff issues, but doing a hell of a job and trying to keep all that in check.
Any other questions for overtime?
Move on to, item 6, approving the budget adjustment for the Veterans Affairs Office.
This one's pretty straightforward. The last page of the agenda shows a request by the Veterans Office. This wasn't with the other ones because obviously Nathan just started. He took a look at what he has in his office. His idea is a little different than the previous veteran service officer, specifically about the transportation program. But he sees that money could be better spent elsewhere. So his request is to take the money out of the transportation program where it was previously and spread it between 3 other items using the grant funds from ARPA that were received in 2023. And that time period runs through sometime in 2024. So this would need a approval by this committee, and since it's under $20,000, that would be the end of it. And the Veterans Commission did approve this in December at their meeting. Not the commission, the Veterans Committee.
Any questions on that, Richard? Somebody entertain a motion to approve the intra-transfer of funds using ARPA funds to distribute money to these. I think there's 3 areas that it's going to go to, and taking it out of the transportation expense.
What's the total dollar amount?
3,280.
I'll make that motion.
There's a second. Second by Steve. Any questions or discussion?
How many, are all the ARPA funds used then for
Yeah.
veterans?
Have they been spent?
Are all his funds used up?
It's been allocated. The grant period goes into 2024. So anything he didn't spend in 23 will finish up in 2024. And this ARPA grant is different than anybody else's ARPA grant. It came through the state specific for the Veterans Office. And off the top of my head, I don't think what the total dollar amount was. You got between 10 and 15,000, right?
Any other questions? Otherwise, all in favor of the motion, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, hearing none, motion is carried. Okay. Everybody had a chance to review the vendor payments online. Any questions specifically on the vendor payments that were listed? The supplemental payroll is going around. I would entertain a motion to approve the supplemental payroll as proposed or presented.
So
By John, second by Virginia, to approve the supplemental payroll. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, hearing none, motion is carried. Any other matters to come before the committee is authorized? Paul, do you have anything?
One update. So our tax deeds from last month. So the Croc Road one came in, they made the payment, transferred it back. That one was done off the table. Hopefully we never see them again. The one on First Street came in and made a payment. General. I think it was, I didn't talk to him directly, but I think it was just a misunderstanding of the process. I don't know. But he made a $2,000 payment, a $5,000 payment. So he's well on his way catching up on the, I think it was about a $15,000 balance for the last 3 to 4 years. So I think the light went on. That one will be taken care of, and I don't think we'll see that one again.
I just have, for next month, there'll be a discussion item that will be put on the agenda regarding the equipment that's out at Luxembourg and the use of the equipment out there that we basically purchased. Who gets to use it, we don't have any policies governing any of that equipment or anything like that. So I want to have a discussion about that. We've had multiple groups asked to use it. But there's, again, there's no policy that governs what happens if it breaks and how do we fix it and all of those type of things. So that'll come next month.
Are you gonna have a proposal with that? A recommendation?
Well, I have my recommendation, but we'll have, I'm gonna have Dave and Jenny, because they're the ones that kind of field the requests to, use stuff. And I mean, there's just been groups that just assume that there's equipment in there, we can just use it. And things like that. And there have been things that have been broken and things like that. So, again, I just wanted to have a discussion. Had felt that it was this group that kind of would spearhead that a little bit to kind of, figure out who and how we use it, those type of things. So.
Anybody else have anything for Steve? You have anything?
Covered the parcels that were paid for, so.
So what's left? Dodge Street's the only one that's not settled, so that one we're likely gonna close on.
We have an interested part of the neighbor. He's not. That comments from the right neighbor, so we have to transfer to the city to transfer. There's a workaround.
Okay.
Decide what we're gonna do.
Have anything? I just have one. It's not a issue right now, but it's probably gonna come back to this committee. Remember a few months ago, we had talked about, there was an issue, there was a person interested in purchasing the gravel pit property that the county owns on County D in Rankin. Randy Hebert made it, was asked if the county was interested in selling that. Highway committee at that time basically said, no, we're not interested. And then we came to the finance committee and we basically said, we're really not interested in selling it. Well, that issue went a couple months past, and last month at our highway committee meeting, Mr. Ebert came back with an actual appraisal of the property and actual offer to the county to purchase that property. Well, the highway committee didn't take any action because we didn't see the appraisal. We didn't really see all the details of the offer. So just to bring you up to date, that issue might be coming back from via the highway committee. It might say we're not interested in selling it. We are interested. At any rate, I think if at some point, if the county is interested in selling that, we probably have to go through the public bid process. We can't just say, okay, here, you want to buy this? I don't know.
No, it wouldn't necessarily have the public bidding process. I think we probably have to have a discussion about why we don't want to put it through that process. There may be questions from the community about why we didn't try to get top dollar for a piece of property if we were going to sell it. So
I guess what's the interest in selling it? Why would we want, just because we approached, or why are we looking?
I'm not interested in selling it.
Some committee members asked Randy to bring a proposal back.
Well, we
That's
never
why- that's why
entertained the
it's coming
idea. I
back.
don't, he came to the county.
Right.
A few committee members told Randy to bring a proposal back.
Mhm.
So it's gonna be on the county board's agenda, or on the highway committee's agenda, January, is that your next Thursday?
Yes, correct.
So we'll talk about it at the committee level, and then we can bring a recommendation back to this committee one way or the other, and then this committee will have to see if there's no interest from the committee, then obviously.
really just an offer of purchase at this point. They did some work on it and said, here's what I'm willing to offer it, how he's willing to sell it. It doesn't really force any action by the county. So we obviously discuss the issue.
It is
That's-
one and a half times the appraised value. of the proposal that he did. Which, yeah, I mean,
Okay,
1.5 times is nice. The
Yeah.
problem is that when the county goes to purchase property, we know that it's suddenly worth 10 times.
yeah.
You know? If
Well,
only
we'll see where it goes.
if only we could go and buy property for 1.5 times what it's worth, I guess. But something that the board will have a committee on to look at.
Well, there's no more property being managed here. Careful and certain. So that was just a little update on that. So it'll probably be coming back to one way or the other.
One more thing. You asked about remaining tax season. There is one other one out there, you have that acre of land in between somebody's farm that came to this committee sometime in the last year, year and a half. And it's never come back. Whose field was that? Yeah. But that one's still out there. That's bad. Long ago. But there, again, there's no purpose to it that county has. It's in the middle of somebody else's field. I think it was a low spot or a waterway or or something.
Good, I don't think, we talked about that a while back, and was it just, it could have been just a part, a little strip that was ignored in a
Yeah,
survey, or
pretty
was it?
small. I don't remember how exactly. I'd have to go back. and look.
The property got transferred at some point.
Yeah.
It's weird how that, nobody knows how it got there.
I think sometimes when land water used to cut waterways through fields for drainage, and that was like a government program. I think that might have got screwed up there. And there was a parcel in Manapee that happened to also at one point. You know, they came in and everybody surveys property different. You can have 5 surveyors and they'll never come up with the same thing. And I think that might be part of what happened there.
I don't remember when that discussion left off either. That I can look up. That'll be in the minutes.
Pretty an interesting situation. Okay, anything else from the committee? Our next meeting will be Friday, February 2nd, 8 o'clock. Is there any reason to meet before the county board meeting?
None that I know.
Okay. So next meeting, February 2nd, 8 o'clock. If there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Jeff, second by Virginia to adjourn. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.